All right, welcome to Hope Community Church. Welcome to the Thursday night Healthy Living Inspirations. And tonight's class topic, we have a different topic for every Thursday night where we are uniting together as wellness warriors. And tonight we're going to actually launch our class that's going to be once a month titled Fit for Fight for Your Fit. As a matter of fact, it's going to focus on a lot of spiritual connections to why we eat what we eat and why we have a lifestyle in particular that is self-destructive, so that we can actually work together to be more productive rather than destructive with our lifestyle. So I am LaVon Vaughn, and I am a realist. So pardon me if I express my realist comments. I'm a truth teller and I make no excuses. And I just tell people, come, let's research the facts. Let's research together. Why? Because I believe that knowledge empowers those to live a stronger, healthier life. So fight for it. Now, you know that we have one of our family members that gave birth today, and that was Karen Couture had her grandbaby today, and that was a actual Neolife miracle grandbaby today. Miss Olivia was born. And so we know that the minute you're born into this life, do you have to fight to be born into this life? Yes. You got to fight to come into this world, and you got to fight to leave the world. And it's a fight from the day you're born to the day you draw your last breath. So you might as well be equipped for the fight, right? Now, how many times in this room, be honest now, how many times have we wanted to give up the fight? When we sucked our thumb and we just wanted to go to the corner and just give up and let go. Oh my goodness. But God says, all right, okay, are you going to be like a Jonah? Are you going to be like some of the others that just wanted to have their own little pity party like Elijah? Well, he does permit us a moment in time where we want to have a little pity party, but we cannot stay there. You can't maintain life in a pity party. And you'll have no other party but a pity party, and you can't maintain life in a pity party. So you're going to have to find a place that is going to be productive and not pitiful. So fight for your life. And we know the power of the cross. There was a fight to bring Jesus into this world, wasn't there? There was a fight because Herod wanted to send out a message to kill all baby boys. So there was a fight as Jesus was being prepared for his prominent ministry that he started at the age of 33. Well, there was a fight for him to demonstrate the Father's power, the Father's anointing, the Father's love, the Father's everything because he said, I only do what the Father shows me to do. So there was a fight. So the good news is we don't have to fight alone. We're in this fight together when we understand and know who our real enemy is. So let's get rolling. I'm going to talk about nutrition and its power to heal, its power to repair, its power to restore. Nutrients are the raw materials that support the body's natural process for abundant life. Now, there are other things out there in the world that do support life, but nutrients are the raw building materials. Let's say that you have an energy machine. That energy machine may have a frequency that's a healing frequency that you may benefit from, but their healing frequency is not the actual building materials that your body needs from the foundation forward. Nutrients are the natural match for our internal chemistry. So we're talking natural matchup here. And structure created to sustain, build, activate, moderate, repair, and support a healthy body from head to toe. So in other words, we need nutrients in order to build. We need nutrients in order to create structure, sustain structure, build, activate, moderate, repair, support a healthy body. So we can't escape this fact. Genesis 1 gave us the mandate about, I've given you this food to sustain your body. And we see that throughout scripture. So food and addiction, breaking the food addictions. Oh my goodness. Now, how many here would be honest to say they have had food addictions? I'm raising my hand here. I'm being honest. I'm being authentic with you guys here today. Absolutely. Well, why are we ever ask the question why you're not addicted to broccoli? Or why you're not addicted to Brussels sprouts, or not addicted to salads, or, or carrots? Come on now. Because, okay, we're going to dig a little bit into the reason why that certain foods have more of an addictive nature to them than other foods. Well, the number one reason is that little chemistry in your body, that hormone called dopamine, neurotransmitter that motivates us to eat and partake in other rewarding behaviors. So dopamine, be honest now, have you ever scrolled your Facebook account? Scrolling. All right. Let me tell you, they know exactly at the point when you need a little dopamine hit on that scrolling. So rewarding behaviors is when dopamine is released in the body. And obese individuals have low dopamine levels, similar to those of substance abuse of addicts, whether it's alcohol or street drugs or prescription medications. So in other words, low dopamine, less reward, minimal satisfaction. So you're actually not, they say that you're not addicted to the food that's in the refrigerator per se, but you're addicted to the motion of going to the refrigerator and opening the door. You get a dopamine hit the minute that the thought comes to your brain to go to the refrigerator or go to the pantry after those bag of Oreo cookies that you have stashed in there. So let's take a look at the cycle of addiction. Now, this cycle is true no matter if it's a drug addiction, alcohol addiction, or porn addiction, or any kind of addiction, addictive behavior. And I'm going to define addictive behavior in just a minute. But let's take a look at specifically what sugar does to the body. You eat sugar, yeah, you like sugar. Like already said, where's the sugar here tonight? Then all of a sudden you crave it because it releases dopamine. It has addictive properties. So then all of a sudden the rest of your body chemistry begins to respond to the sugar, and the blood sugar levels fall rapidly. High insulin levels cause immediate fat storage. Body craves lost blood sugar high. Oh my goodness, you're on a rolling coaster. Blood sugar levels are spiked again. Oh my goodness. And dopamine is released. Here's where that dopamine begins to get released. And the brain and massive insulin release to drop blood sugar, that equals addiction. So it's a cycle that's happening. And you're not even conscious of this cycle. You're not even aware of this cycle of what is actually happening. It's happening in your endocrine system, which is your hormone system, your glandular system. So here comes the Hunger Games. Have you ever been a victim of the Hunger Games? I've been a victim of the Hunger Games. Cravings, low blood sugar, gotta have something now. That increases appetite, and then the cycle is repeated all over again. Oh my goodness, this is called yo-yo stimulation depletion. So you get the dopamine and then all of a sudden the insulin, the glucose, the low blood sugars, it's a cycle and it hits you again. I need another hit. I need another increase in the dopamine levels. Well, hyperpalatable foods hijacking your brain. So do you not know that the food corporations know about this body chemistry going on? Do you not know they hire a bajillion dollars worth of chemists and scientists that want to design foods so that they are specifically hyper palatable, meaning they are they actually give you a higher level of dopamine and then a lower level of your glucose levels, so low blood sugars, and that cycle is started all over again. So eating food found in nature allows the body satiety. What is satiety? It's like salvation. It means I'm satisfied. You know, it's like, okay, I'm satisfied. Jesus satisfies me. He's satisfied my need for salvation. Well, food found in nature can be very satisfying until you get a hit of sugar, until you get a hit of this hyper palatable types of foods that these corporations have designed. Um, which is mechanisms to activate and behave in a reasonable way. So have you ever seen somebody behave in an unreasonable way when their blood sugar is low? I've seen people behave in a really bad. It's called hangry. Are you hangry right now? Because their blood sugar's dropped and they're not acting in a reasonable way. And you see this a lot with people who are diabetic. And you see that if they don't have the proper insulin levels in the body and the proper hormone chemistry going on in the body, then the brain won't have the energy in order to function. Then they just got, I don't even know where I'm at and why I'm here. Our bodies are not wired to process highly processed, hyperstimulated foods. It's actually an abuse of how God originally made us and how God originally created us. Oversensitive dopamine responses makes you higher risk for not only obesity, but we're going to go down the list of what it makes you a risk for. Once the weight is gained, the dopamine response becomes insensitive, meaning it's going to take more and more sugar to get that little bit of dopamine release. And so you're going to actually go into consumption, more consumption in order to get more, to get the same amount of dopamine release, which is that behavioral reward chemistry, a hormone. So what actually hijacks and actually fluctuates this is stress. Anybody been under stress lately? Oh my goodness. How about poor nutrition plays a factor in that yo-yo? And even environmental exposures plays a role in that yo-yo, because we don't realize it, but coming in contact every day with artificial hormones, xenoestrogens, things like that, that actually plays a part in whether or not your dopamine levels can actually moderate and regulate. How about genetics? Yes, they're actually saying that there's an imprint of trauma that can go down to the second, third, and fourth generation from trauma. That's an adrenal hit that can be an imprint in your children and grandchildren and great-grandchildren. That is very interesting. So you got to be very cautious. This is why we talk about praying over generational issues. And for people that say, oh, God did it all on the cross, I just say, well, next time you go to the doctor, don't answer when he has questions about your genetics, about your mama and your papa and your mama's papa and your mother's mother and so on and so forth, because they know the genetic connection, and there is definitely a genetic connection. So what do we see happening here? Certain compounds in foods are chemically rewarding by design. I call it engineered by design. And guess what hits the top of the list? Sugar. Sugar, honey, honey, honey. MSG is another one, MSG. And how about oxidative fats is another one. And oxidative fats can be, there's a, 100 different list of the names of different fats. These are oils that are synthesized and synthetic and oxidized. That's found in all kinds of things. We're going to talk about that. Wheat and dairy products contain opioid peptides. Did you know that? Oh my goodness. Naturally occurring opioid peptides. Oh my goodness. Remember the class I did last week? If I remember that, inflammation. And remember when I talked about turmeric and curcumin, the active ingredient turmeric, and how that actually is a target and works better because it targets the opioid receptors of the body that reduces pain. Wow. And how about this is why wheat, when it's altered and the natural balance of it is upset and goes topsy-turvy. Same thing with dairy when it's homogenized and pasteurized, and then you got all these growth hormones in it, and you got all this stuff going on, then it could cause asthma and obesity, and it can cause apathy. It can cause ignorance. So that's what's happened to this generation. And numbness. So they're like zombie state, ignorant. Okay, stop feeding those kids dairy and wheat, bread, because these things contain ingredients that actually zone the child out. So, these are things that we need to be aware of. 95% of chronic diseases are 100. Now, I'm going to say this. You need to write this one down. 95% of chronic diseases today, which is the drivers of death and destruction, are 100% diet related. Oh, my goodness. 100%. So why does the food corporations know this? Because, well, ching, ching, ching-a-ling-a-ling, ching, ching, ching. That's one reason. And so they actually signed in law an agreement for the food manufacturers to start developing in the 1950s and 60s cheap food. So instead of having your roast from off your farm, from a cow that you butchered, you can go down and get Mrs. Swanson's ready-made TV dinners. And so it's cheap and it's convenient. And they know that if they make it cheap enough and convenient enough, then more people will consume it. And the more you consume it, the more you're addicted. And the more you're addicted to that dopamine reward. So what's the top foods that are highly addicting, that have highly addicting, hyper palatable foods? Pizza. How about chocolate? How about cookies, ice cream, donuts, chips, cheese curls, soft drinks, cheap, legal, and everywhere. How food companies get us hooked on junk. It's cheap, it's available, it's everywhere. Oh my goodness. So can you make a healthy pizza? I've done it before, yes. Come to the class, we'll teach you how to make a healthy pizza. Can you have a healthier choice of chocolate? Yes, you can. Come to the class and learn how to choose a healthier version of chocolate. Can you make some healthier version of cookies? Yes, you can. Ice cream? Absolutely. I make a protein shake that tastes just like a milk chocolate shake. Chips, well, you kind of have to moderate the chips. And soft drinks, you can't make a healthy soft drink. That's impossible. But you can make other drinks on occasion, on special occasions, that are delightful and tasty and delicious. I'll give you one recipe real quick that I've been doing lately, and I've been getting ginger root, and I chop that ginger root up, and I put it in 2 quarts of water, and I boil it. And I boil it for about 45 minutes. I strain it, and then I pour about 1/4 of a cup in a 16-ounce glass of ice, pour it over the ice, and then I squeeze a half a lemon in there, and then I top it off with seltzer or a tonic water. Tonic water that has no sugar in it, tonic water has no lime in it, just tonic, just plain tonic water. And you can actually squeeze or put a slice of lime in there. And then I put my Stevia sweetener in there, and it's absolutely phenomenal, especially when you're sick and you don't want to drink ginger ale, but you know that ginger is going to help. And somehow, if you've been throwing up, that fizzy just makes you feel better. So that's a good way to actually get that warm, fuzzy, fizzy feeling without compromising with all the high fructose corn syrup. So, how about the science of flavor and the Dorito effect? They actually wrote an entire book on how they made the Dorito. You can't eat just one. No, because they have a special design of flavor enhancers strictly by chemicals that are in every single Dorito. They wanted the salt, they wanted the fat, they wanted the crunch, they wanted the peppery taste and and all the flavors, the sweet. And it actually, they call it the bliss point in the chemistry. They call it the bliss point. So they want you to reach the highest level of bliss point with every bite, so that you'll go after another bite and another bite and another bite and another bite. So yeah, the Dorito effect actually caused a man to do write an entire book about it. The Truth About Cancer. He talks about some of the ingredients that makes Doritos so toxic is vegetable oil. Again, this rancid oil is running rampant. Processed sunflower, canola, corn, soy undergo a process by which they become oxidative and create free radical damage in the body. Partially hydrogenated oils loaded with trans fats, highly, highly toxic. Maltodextrin, which is generally a genetically modified corn compost. Starchy. MSG, which triggers the brain in a hyper stimulation and causes high levels of addiction. Whole corn, highly processed GMO grain known as a carcinogen. That's just a few of the ingredients in a Dorito. Oh my goodness. As a matter of fact, if I were to set here, and I almost did this tonight, a bowl of chips in front of you and a bowl of walnuts. All right, I can guarantee you when you looked at the bowl of chips, your mouth would already salivate. Your mouth would already be preparing, your digestive tract would already be preparing to start crunching on those chips. So food giants exploit our addictive nature and pathways. And so even though walnuts will be soft and buttery and has this faint woodsy flavor to it, but the potato chip gets an instant crunch, an instant oil, an instant fat, and an instant salt. Oh my goodness. So in other words, we are aborting our natural tendency and our natural moderate way of enjoying a walnut because you have a chip in front of you. So they are harmful habit-forming foods, have fattened corporation bank accounts at the cost of fattening hundreds of millions of Americans, contributing to countless premature deaths and debilitating illness, as well as costing trillions of dollars. And you are paying big time. Even if you don't eat the chip, you're paying for it. So do you kind of feel like the time when we were battling the tobacco industry? Well, what's the new fight? Is the French fry fight. So do you see any parallels to how the tobacco industry would fight and say that tobacco is harmless, it's not harmful, your doctor prefers Camel, so smoke what your doctor smokes? Oh, really now? So Time, the science of addiction, they have pinpointed the science. There is a science to addiction. Now, obviously, science is the study of and research and examination of certain things, but they do this research and study and examination in order to make a profit off of your weakness, to find a pathway into your brain that will cause you to go after their food product and not a walnut. So April 14, 2023 says 1 out of 8 Americans, I think this is a little higher, but I just drew this as far as research information, over the age of 50 are addicted to highly processed foods. Now, I don't go anywhere that I don't see children munching on goldfish crackers, munching on Cheerios. Goldfish crackers and Cheerios are loaded with these toxins and these hyper palatable, hypersensitive taste chemicals. Food is the fuel for a healthy life. I want you to write this down. I want to be a motto here at Healthy Living Inspirations. Food is the fuel for a healthy life, and a healthy life is the reward. So in other words, we've got this twisted, you got to untwist this twisted truth here, because we think that, we live to eat. And yet the word of God tells us, no, I want you to eat so you can live. And so this is another way of saying that food is the fuel for a healthy life. So if we embrace the fact that a healthy life is our reward, then we'll be excited about how we feel when we start walking in our destiny of obtaining a healthy life. So what is one of the underlying causes is adrenal fatigue. Now, how many here grew up with some stress in the house? Now, am I the only one that grew up with some stress in the house? I grew up with some stress in the house, let me tell you. And let me tell you, from day one, there was stress in the house. And so adrenals are set on overload from just growing up in a stressful house, a stressful situation. So let me go over a little bit on how the body responds to overstimulation of adrenals. So hypoglycemia may manifest in those with adrenal fatigue because it decreases cortisol and increases insulin levels. So you see, one chemical in the body doesn't act solo. It acts in conjunction with all the others because they are a family and you are a nation. Your body is a nation. So when the adrenals are excreting, then so it triggers the insulin levels. And then all of a sudden you get sleep disorders. And then you can see type 1 diabetes may be a result due to a lack of insulin in the immune system attacking the cells in the pancreas from even trauma and genetic imprint of trauma that is passed down. How about obesity may result due to adipose tissue resistance to insulin? So here we see this hormone called insulin playing a major role in obesity, playing a major role in type 1 diabetes, playing a major role in type 2 diabetes. And how about here, gut dysbiosis? That's just a big fancy word to saying you got a colony that's out of order down in the gut side. So a leaky gut. What's the number one cause of leaky gut? Is genetically modified organisms, glyphosate, all of these chemicals that are in our foods that cause leaky gut, which are linked to compromised liver function and imbalance in gut flora. Oh my goodness. And then you got increased inflammation. All this means trigger inflammation due to compromised adrenals along with compromised liver. And then the liver finally says, because the liver's primary job and function is to guide insulin levels. So inflammation harms your pancreas, it harms your liver, it harms your kidney function. It makes it difficult for the organs to regulate blood sugar levels. So in other words, compromised gut health and imbalanced blood sugar levels affect even your thyroid. Your thyroid hormones play a role in neurotransmitter health and could thus affect serotonin. That's a mouthful. All started by a dopamine and adrenaline and all this stress cycle, stress cycle, stress cycle. No, so let's take a look. Have we lost touch with reality? You see, we got to come back. We got to, I think it's in the book of Revelations, it says, we got to come back to our first love. We got to come back to the first love because you lost your first love. And when you come back to your first love, then you can actually start and rebuild the foundations. So like other drug problems, hello, whether it's cocaine or whether it's meth or whether it's alcohol or whether it's gambling or whether, no matter what it is characterized by these three forms. Loss of control over consumption, meaning I've lost control. I can't eat just one Oreo. I can't eat one Lay's potatoes. I got to have the whole bag. And then I'm finding myself in the middle of the night sleepwalking to the store to go buy another bag. You're really in trouble when that's happening. Continued use despite negative consequences. I see this over and over again. When you're seeing consequences of your lifestyle or behavior, yet you can't stop. You can't stop. You ever been there? You ever been there? Am I the only one that's ever been there? Inability to cut down despite the desire to do so. Then one day you say, all right, I'm going to do better tomorrow. Tomorrow is another day. Yeah, well, I will be a slave to another chip, to another pizza, to another Coca-Cola, Diet Cokes. Oh my goodness. So in fact, studies show that sugar is more addictive than cocaine. And then fructose, which is an extract, a separate extraction. All right, fructose, not the fruit naturally found in a whole apple, eating a whole apple or a whole orange, but fructose may be as addictive as alcohol, especially to the liver. How do you think you get fat, non-alcoholic fatty liver disease? It's because you are consuming too much sugar. How do you think triglycerides go way out of whack? You're consuming too much sugar. This cycle I just explained in the adrenals is actually, you got to stop the cycle. You got to get out of the insanity. You got to pull back. You got to admit, oh my goodness, okay, I can't stop. Now, admit this. If you go to the movies, do you go to spend time with your family or do you go to get the popcorn? Oh, come on. There's a reason why you walk in the door and the odor aroma hits you like, whoop, and your brain goes on fire. Gotta have a big box of it, right? Do you know that the people that worked in when they put that powder butter on the popcorn, the people in the manufacturing that manufacture that got sick, cancer, because the powder they use to butter the popcorn is very carcinogen. That means cancer-causing agents. So, neuropsychologist Diane Robinson, PhD, the emotional aspect of food. There is an emotional aspect that we have to address. From a very early age, we become emotionally attached to food. For many, a food might console us. Okay, mom and daddy had a fight. Let's go get a popsicle. Let's go to Dairy Queen. Come on. How many of y'all been there? Come on. Am I only one that was there? It's consoling you. I don't know about you, but there was nothing like walking into my mama's kitchen and smelling fried chicken. And she was making a big fresh batch of iced tea and mashed potatoes and green beans and corn. Let me tell you, are y'all wiping your chin right now? All right, because whenever we were upset, we would go out for a reward, or we did accomplish a job and we didn't get enough validation or love at home and through our growing up. And so we find ourselves going to, I used to do this. I used to do this where I would go out and take a walk every evening. I would walk 3 miles. Woo! Fast paced 3 miles. You know what my reward was? A pint of Haagen-Dazs ice cream. I would say, what? My reward's at the end of the street. My reward's coming up. And I would pull that Haagen-Dazs ice cream out and I would just indulge until one day I realized, what am I doing? What am I doing here? And I had to stop and I had to recognize what I was doing here. And I find it creeping up on me now and again and again and now, because obviously we're human, we live in this life. And I face it, every celebration's around a cake, right? And ice cream and a pie and some kind of banana pudding or some kind of dessert celebration. So we have powerful emotions that are attached to our overeating. Put a soda in the hands of a child. Now, this is how the corporations view it. This is how the science goes about it. They say put a can of soda in the hands of a child when they're at a ballpark with their parents, and that soda will forever be associated with that joyous moment. So every time they wanted to release another hit of dopamine, that they're having a joyous moment, they got to have a can of soda in hand. Do you know how many times that I've been to parties, I've been to family gatherings, and I've seen children pop the top, take a sip, and never take another sip, but hold on to that can the entire time and then dump it? Because it's the attachment to, they got to have it in the hand, because it's psychological, that they're actually getting a joyous dopamine hit by just having that can of soda in their hand. Wow. So take a look. They know that our children today are the first generation in history. This breaks my heart. In the United States, who are expected to have more disease and have shorter lives than any other generation, because the food corporations have driven their chemistry. They've hijacked our brains, and we've been asleep. We've been numb. We've been dumbed down. We haven't been alert and awake. Do hidden opioids in our food explain food addiction? Some foods bind to opioid receptors in the nervous system. We already talked about wheat. We talked about dairy. But do you know that breast milk has these wonderful opioid receptors that actually feed the opioid receptors in the body? And this is a bonding mechanism that our Creator designed naturally. So the food corporations know this, and what they do is they capitalize on it because you don't know it. This is why a lot of people have bonding issues that were never breastfed. A lot of people have bonding issues when they were brought through the fight to get into the world, and they didn't have skin to skin contact with their mother, and then they weren't breastfed. So a lot of those chemicals weren't released in the body for that bonding. So breast milk contains actual morphine. So that's the soothing of that baby, loving and bonding naturally as God intended for that nurturing and loving. So if children are out here and they don't seem to be bonding, they don't seem to attach to empathy and having a normal sense of wholeness about them, this may be a root of the problem. So seeking out and obtaining nourishment by garnishing physical dependency, it's all by design by our Creator, but the enemy has taken it and used it to drive his agenda. Divine healing versus divine health, healthy versus unhealthy mindsets. Remember, food is the fuel for a healthy life, and a healthy life is the reward. So shift your appetite to desire living foods. Akarit, which is from Dr. Michael Brown, brought this up because health is a relationship between you and your body. And the Lord's just showing me as I do consultations, the Lord's just showing me how this person has had a breach with the bonding of their body. And so they're not able to nurture their body. Nurture. The scriptures tell us that we must first love ourselves before we can love our what? Neighbor. And this is all a part of body chemistry, that if we cannot put the mask on ourselves in the airplane, how in the world are we going to help our neighbor? We've got to be breathing. We've got to be thinking clearly. We've got to be active. We've got to be full of vitality and energy and wisdom and knowledge. And the only way to obtain that is to have a healthy mind and a healthy body. So akarit is a Hebrew word that is defined as, let's consider the end result, the final consequences. How will you fare in the outcome? Will you survive your choices? Think about that. If every day you have junk food as your reward, will you survive your choices that you're making right now? What will your return or your investment be with your body and your mind? Are you going to be crippled at the end and have your wife or husband or have your children have to take care of you and be a burden on your family or a burden on society because you ignored all the warning signs? Akarit means to come to the end of self. You know, and that's the place that God wants all of us to come to, because that's the place that he said, I will reach you, I will lift you up, and I will show you a better pathway. God's wisdom wins every time. Would anybody argue with God? No, you'd be a fool if you argue with God. So in other words, in the book of Proverbs, the word akarit is mentioned over and over again. This is the end result if you go down this path. Akarit is going to happen when you go down this path. We have a relationship with food that can't be replaced by anything else. Have you ever tried not eating for 40 days, 50 days, 60 days, 70 days, 80 days, 90 days? Wow. We have by design a relationship with food that's intended to fuel our life. So we need to identify rewards or comfort. We need to stop and recognize, am I reaching for this candy bar? Am I reaching for this donut? Am I driving down and feeling a little bit of anxiety? So I'm going to pull into the Krispy Kreme, or I'm going to pull into the, ice cream shop, or I'm going to pull into the 7-Eleven and go grab me a Coke. Stop and examine what's going on inside of you at that moment. Is there a sense of anxiety? What just happened 30 minutes prior that caused a dump of insulin or adrenals that raised your insulin levels? Okay, you see the pattern here. So toxic hunger versus true hunger. We got to get back into the balance of identifying what's toxic hunger versus true hunger. Wow. Did you know sugar is 8 times as addictive as cocaine? And what's interesting is while cocaine and heroin activate only one spot for pleasure in the brain, sugar lights up. Woo! It's like a Christmas tree. It lights up and lights up. Akarit. Let's consider the end result. We're talking about early death here. We're talking about drivers of incapacitation, debilitation, premature death. We're talking about things here that are very, very serious and creates inflammation, strokes, heart attacks, mental illness, creates oxidative damage, lowers immune system, accelerates aging. I mean, who in their right mind wants to accelerate aging? Every time that you're going for that sugar or that junk food, you're actually creating an oxidative storm inside the body. That the body's going to have an antioxidant in order to combat that storm of oxidation. Then you got kidney damage. Then you have liver damage. Then you have diabetes. You know what diabetes is? Diabetes is inflammation from the top of your head to the tips of your toes. This is why type 3 diabetics is called Alzheimer's, dementia, because whatever it's doing to the eyes, whatever it's doing to the toes or the tips of the fingers, it's doing to the brain cells. Food addictions kill. We have to address this seriously. It's not just la-di-da, because our next generation is standing, weighing in the balance. And they're looking up to you, mama, daddy, aunt, uncle, a grandma, grandfather. They're looking up to us and they're wanting to have direction and instruction to help them because they got fogged thinking. And they want to think clearly, and a drug is not going to help them do that. Do you want to have the energy to run the race to fulfill and embrace your calling and commission? Well, do you want to serve till it's time to go home, or do you want to be pushed home early? Do you want to not be cut short because you ignored the principles of life? These are just basic principles of life. You might say, well, I'll just go in the prayer line. I'll eat what I want, live the way I want, and I'll just get in everybody's prayer line. Well, how's that working for you? Because God established a principle, a law of lifestyle living that we have to pay attention to and that we are responsible for. Do you overindulge or overconsume? Now, I used to be there. I'm not there now, but do I have room for improvement? Absolutely. I'm preaching to myself tonight. Philippians 3:19 says, whose end, you're talking about the lust of the flesh. You're talking about the works of the flesh out of Philippians. But he says the end, the acharit, if you make your stomach your God, the acharit is destruction. And what have we got today? We have destruction. 95% of chronic diseases is driven 100% by our lifestyle. It's destructive. Whose God is their belly and whose glory is in their shame, who mind earthly things. So the word of God tells us you're in the world, but don't have the belief system of the world. So if the world says you need a Coke to survive today, you need bags of chips to survive today, you need a bowls of ice cream to survive today, whose word are you going to believe? So it starts with a mindset. Remember, we are eating to live, not living to eat. Stewardship, it all boils down. Dr. Michael Brown talked about this. It's all about stewardship. Avoid anything we know is harmful. So there's our first warning flag. Avoid the things that are harmful. Wait a minute, is this going to help me or harm me? Is this going to help me? And if it's going to harm me, what's the price I'm going to pay if it's going to harm me? If it's a major sugar hit, it's going to harm you a lot. So evaluate what you're going to do. Are you going to have the gluten-free, low keto cookie? Or are you going to have the Oreo cookie? Make your decision and choice. You'd be better off consuming the keto cookie versus the Oreo cookie, because the keto cookie is generally made by a nut flour and a plant-sourced sweetener. So destructive means a willful ignorance. And now this really strikes me, because I think, you mean I'm willfully ignorant if I ignore the warning signs? If you're going down the road 100 miles an hour and you see a big sign that says bridge is out, stop, bridge is out, stop, and you ignore that sign, that is called willful ignorance. Is that not willful ignorance? Yeah. And then you go off the bridge, whee, crash. Romans 14:12, physical, nutritional, emotional, mental, and economic health all depends upon the choices that we make one day at a time, every choice that we make. 1 Timothy 4:18 and 1 Corinthians 6:19 through 20. Don't have time to read them, but food is a gift from God. And it talks about in these verses about how our body is a vessel, our body is a temple. Our body is not our own. It's been bought and paid for with a price. There is a higher calling on your body. There is a higher will to be established on your body. And so the enemy has twisted the truth, and we need to untwist the truth. Food gives us strength. It gives us satisfaction, health, and vitality. So if all you're doing is going for the dopamine and you're getting no nutrition, and it's driving insulin levels, and it's driving your adrenals, then you're in trouble. Psalms 105 says, 105:40 says, he fed them quail and bread of heaven. I just read that the other morning, and that just brought tears to my eyes, because I saw that God loves his people so much that he gave them quail, which was the protein, and bread of heaven. Bread of heaven. An amazing bread made that the Bible says that the angels eat. So it had all the nourishment. It was very satisfying. It was very delicious and very satisfying. You can't outrun bad food habits. And yes, Neolife helps. Neolife will actually turn back a lot of the damage that we've done in our bodies through willful ignorance. But in the end, you cannot outrun bad food habits. Age will eventually creep up on you because your body is not regenerating as fast as it did when you were 20 and 30 and you hit 50 and then 60 and then 70 and then 80 and all right, so your body is telling you something. Your body's saying, okay, I used to could handle those 3 donuts. I can't handle it anymore. I used to handle that bag of Oreos. I can't handle that bag of Oreos anymore. Age will begin to tell on you. Your body will take you as far as it is able to go, depending on the fuel you have provided it. So the calling of God on your life will only take you as far as your body is able to take you. Let me say that one more time. The call of God on your life will only take you as far as your body is able to take you. Wow. Don't let low level living become the normal. Don't let God's called us to a higher calling, a higher calling. Don't let low level living become the normal. Tomorrow syndrome, tomorrow, I'll do it tomorrow. I got a plan. I'll start my plan tomorrow. I'll change. I'm gonna, 6 months down the road, how's that working for you? I got a plan. I'll start tomorrow. I got another plan. Got a plan. 6 months down the road, how's that working for you? Self-deception. You will wake up and it will all be fixed. Oh, kind of like the Jesus is the vending machine guy. 1 Corinthians 9:4 through 27, who has power over your body? He's saying, don't let anything rule over your body except for the Holy Spirit. Don't let anything rule over your body. Don't let anything have control over your body, because whatever has control over your body has control over your mind, because your brain chemistry will tell on you. We have a race to run. We have a fight to fight against evil. And how in the world are we going to fight the fight with a sound mind and a fit body unless we are healthy? Recognize it is sin. Oh, you said that word. Is that allowed? Sin. Oh my goodness. If the way we are eating is compromising your health and keeping you from keeping us fat, sick, and nearly dead. And I took this from a documentary because there's a documentary called Fat, Sick, and Nearly Dead. And he goes across America showing that how what we're eating is exactly what is driving us in this area. So we got a choice to make. And my whole point in tonight's class is choose health, choose life, fall in love with feeling good. Instead of going, oh, that's bad, 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 oh, bad. Just have a mindset shift and let's start falling in love with feeling good. Love how you feel in your body when you're free of food addictions. You think clearer. You have a better sense of humor. You have more energy. You sleep better. If you sleep better and have more energy, then you can face the day and be more positive, be more optimistic. The first wealth is health. And this is Ralph Waldo Emerson said this. Wow. The first wealth is health, because if you don't have your health, what good is your wealth? I mean, the story of Steve Jobs speaks loud and clear to me. Is when he had pancreatic cancer, all the money in the world couldn't cure him. And you saw him dwindle down to nothing. So be excited about how much you will have to gain by this mind shift to give as your body ages. So instead of dreading your birthday, you can actually embrace your birthday and say, whoa, I turned 90. Whoa, let's jump out of some airplanes today. Speaking to somebody in the room, do you have a body image struggle when you look into the mirror? Do you have a body image struggle? Examine the areas you were programmed under fear versus love. Jeremiah 1:5, I called you in the womb to be a prophet to the generation I've called you to. God's called everybody here, everybody that's listening to this. God has called you for your generation, for your time. Acts chapter 17 says that very clearly, that God has a plan. He has a purpose for your life. And he knew what kind of food was going to be convenient and cheap in this day and hour. He knew that. And he's waiting for those who are willing to stand up and say, no, not my body, not in my watch, not in my time, not my generation. And I'm going to actually teach my children how to grow their own tomatoes and grow their own cucumbers and grow their own foods and see what it's like to connect with nature. So get a healthy view of who you are. You're a miracle. You're marvelous. You're Psalms 139, beautiful and formed in your mother's womb, and every part of you is counted and accounted for a purpose. Fall in love with the miracle of who you are out of Psalms 139. If you are an overcomer, but you are, okay, here's a mind shift. Stop thinking of yourself as, I'm barely getting by, I need to overcome, and shift your mindset to, I'm not in recovery, but I am extraordinary, and I am being transformed every single day. Honor the Lord and produce more fruit. God's saying, I got some fruit that I want to produce out of your life. But you can't produce good fruit if you're dying on the vine, if you're dying and shriveling up because of your lifestyle. Freedom. It's all about freedom. Freedom. Aha. Freedom through obedience. It's a choice. God doesn't twist your arm. He just offers. Demons eat trash. I think this is very interesting that demons like trash. If you remember the man in the land of the Gadareans that was demon possessed, he was eating trash. If you see people that are demon possessed or mentally ill, they eat trash. Now, I'm not talking about people that are homeless and our children, you know, in other countries that have to eat, you know, if they're going to eat a piece of bread out of the trash. I'm talking about the fact that all you got to do is YouTube it, and you see all these stories and how all these children, they ate odd things. You see these gurus from India, they eat nails, they eat screws, and they eat razor blades. And it doesn't bother them because they're demonically controlled. So your body is a vessel and a temple. It's not a house of demons. God's children eat fresh food. There are no shortcuts to health. I hate to tell you this, but I actually love telling you this, because the health is a garden away. Health is a plant away. It's a produce away. It's a fresh food away. Permanent life change is required. You can't say, well, I'll do good for 2 days and then go 3 weeks not doing good. You're going to have that mind shift. Be honest, we can't do this alone. That's why you're here. That's why we're connecting. That's why we're gathering. Go through the withdrawals, and you're going to have to go through the withdrawals. I've done several fastings, and let me tell you, the first 2 and 3 days of fastings from food is a little bit contemptuous, because it's like, oh my goodness. And I always can determine whether or not I'm addicted by how my body reacts when I go through a fast. Song of Solomon says it's the little foxes that destroy the whole branch. Galatians 5:22 talks about a fruit of the Holy Spirit is self-control. Oh my goodness, the little foxes that spoil. So you see, I love this picture. Why? Because this picture here is the lab is so trained that he ain't touching that double Mac. He ain't touching it until his master said so. What if, just imagine, what if that every time you went to prepare a meal or had food in front of you, you say, Lord, would you eat this? Father, would you eat this? Would you eat this? Breaking the strongholds, cut out the highest offensive foods. Start with the highest offensive foods. If it's the Oreos, get them out of the house. If you're tempted to buy them when you're going down the aisle, rebuke it in the name of Jesus. Take them down strategically, no longer a slave to the offending foods. The enemy attacked you, hijacked your brain strategically. We're going to have to strategically get our brain back. Train your body. Stop finding excuses. Oh, I'll start after Bubba's birthday, because I'm going to enjoy cake and ice cream with everybody else. Or I'll start next week. Oh yeah, it's we're doing you know, this celebration and that celebration. Honor God's principles no matter where you're at, no matter where you are, till it becomes a complete lifestyle. How many know 21 days is when you establish a brand new fresh habit and you pattern your mind ingrained for a brand new habit. So be like this dog that will not touch it without his master giving him permission. So herbal supplements for sugar cravings. I love to go get a sprig of rosemary and chew on a sprig of rosemary or sage or cinnamon. Actually, putting cinnamon in my protein shake, putting cinnamon in something you normally wouldn't put cinnamon in, actually curbs a sugar craving. These are some turmeric, thyme, sage. These are some herbs that actually help curb sugar cravings. Ginger, just these herbs, as they touch the tongue and you chew on them, actually are very, very satisfying. I go out and I pull a mint. When my granddaughters come over, we have a little salad at all my herbs out front, which is the rosemary, the mint, the oregano, and different ones, and they enjoy it. Develop a time of rest. Meal planning. I know for me with hypoglycemia, it's like if I exert energy and my blood sugar is low, I'm going to grab whatever is in front of me, and I will karate chop you if you stand in my way. So I want to make sure that I have something planned, something in my, as I travel, I want to make sure I have something that I can snack on that's healthy versus grabbing whatever I can. Clean out the pantry, get rid of the offending foods, and get a support system. You're here, that's great. That is your support system. Vitamins and minerals that literally help the body curb sugar addictions. B vitamins, zinc, magnesium, and chromium not only help curb sugar addictions, and food addictions, but they actually help to restore the damage from the years of an improper lifestyle. CoQ10, why? Because you wore out your little mitochondria. So you need to recharge those little batteries of mitochondria. Fiber, which actually satiates the body. I mean, can you overdo a salad, especially if you put a lot of fibrous foods in a salad? Salmon oil, it reduces inflammation and actually curbs sugar addictions. Lecithin will actually calm the brain and feed the synapse. That's the neural transmitters where they actually conjunct and connect. Treanin actually supports your adrenal function. So your adrenals that have been out of whack, fight or flight from the day you were born, hello, you are desperate for treanin. Acidophilus, remember the gut biome, the gut bacteria is out of whack because it's all the bad guys wanting the food, sending messages to the brain. I need some more dopamine. We need some more sugar. Acidophilus enzymes that actually help digest the food and properly so that there's not food sitting, lingering, and then spoiling and causing bloating and causing all kinds of problems, and then causing more of the cravings. Protein shakes. I cannot stress enough the Neolite protein shakes. If I don't have my protein shake every day, I find myself craving what I should not be craving. It is the #1 craving reduction food is on my list is the Neolite protein shake. Minerals. Minerals are always depleted when you're overconsumed with sugar. Remember, it's carbs that turn into sugar also, but minerals are always depleted. Your adrenals, your hormones all run on minerals. Minerals are the catalyst to make things happen. And again, carotenoids. Why carotenoids? Because you gotta have an antioxidant when you got so much oxidative damage going on in the storm. Wow. So these are some powerful nutrients that can make a difference when supporting your body, when you're kicking the sugar addiction and the food addictions. Craving sugar, eat foods that fight sugar cravings. Let's take a look. Seeds, sunflower seeds. I made a salad today and I put about a 1/4 cup of sunflower seeds on it. Pumpkin seeds. You'd be amazed of just how chewing on that can actually satisfy because they have oil in them, good oil, and they have fiber in them. Pumpkin seeds, chia seeds, flax seeds, nuts, macadamia, pecans, wherever you're from, north or south, Brazil nuts, walnuts, pistachios, and the last is almonds, because almonds do have a lot of oxalates in them, which have a tendency for allergies. Avocado is a good, dense, healthy fat. Eat a whole fruit. Don't drink juices, but eat the whole fruit. If you're having a craving, grab an apple. You got fiber with that apple. Grab an orange. You got fiber with the orange. Berries. have put a bag of berries in the freezer and just put a couple of berries in the mouth and let them, dissolve in the mouth frozen. It's very satisfying, very satisfying. Water with lemon and ginger and apple cider vinegar and water will help curb sugar addictions. Herbal teas help, all kinds of herbal teas. Rooibos tea is one of my favorite teas, chamomile teas, lavender teas. Those are all calming teas. And they're herbal teas that help. A fatty fish, consuming a lot of fatty fish. Fatty fish is cod, salmon, halibut, haddock. Those are from the northern Atlantic Ocean, and they have a lot of fat on them, which is designed to be very satiating, very filling, very fulfilling. Turkey. Why is turkey a great choice? Because it actually has tryptophan in it, which is an amino acid that calms down that dopamine addiction factor. So turkey, choose turkey, eat turkey a couple of times a week and enjoy that turkey, because you might find yourself wanting to relax so much you take a little nap after eating turkey, but that's just if it's a fresh turkey, get you a fresh turkey breast and cook it and make your turkey salad, make your sliced turkey. Kale. I went to the market Saturday morning. I chopped up some kale. I stir fried it. It was delicious. Put some onion in there. And for me, I put some butter and I put a little olive oil. And yeah, I did a little fat back too. So I just loved eating that kale. It was lightly crunchy, very, very flavorful, little salt and pepper in there. Cruciferous vegetables have a tendency to be more satiating, more satisfying, and actually help curb sugar addiction. Fermented foods such as kimchi and sauerkraut, real sauerkraut, not the fake stuff, but the real fermented foods, because they're feeding good gut bacteria and they're very, very satisfying. Almond butters and coconut butters give you an immediate, put it on celery. You get some electrolytes through the celery, and the almond butter is a little bit of protein, some good fats, but I love coconut butter. It's one of my favorite. I'm feeling a little jittery. I'm feeling a little then I'll go and get me a spoonful of coconut butter, and it's very satisfying. Instead of milk chocolate, instead of sugar chocolate, choose a sugar-free or stevia sweetened dark chocolate. So these are all options to help us to get off of the addictions, get onto a healthier plan, healthier start. Step one, acknowledgement. Oh, okay. Does anybody here have room for improvement? My hand is up. Yes. So you acknowledge you need improvement. So take your sugar and your carbs addiction seriously. I've talked about how serious this is. Your life depends upon you listening. Your life depends upon you making these wise choices. It's real. It's powerful. It will ruin your health. Going down this path will ruin your health. You don't have a sweet tooth. I hear this my whole life. I just have a sweet tooth. You don't have a sweet tooth. You have a sugar addiction. Face it. Come on, be honest and be truthful. Number one sign of repentance is you got to be honest and authentic about it. Food is the fuel. I'm going to say this again, for a healthy life. And a healthy life is your reward. Do you want a healthy life? Then you're going to have to change some things about your eating. Take a step in the right direction. Step two, can't play with it. Go cold turkey. You can't say, well, I'll have 10 Oreos today instead of 20. As long as you keep that sugar addiction alive, it will thrive. I'm going to say that one more time. As long as you trigger that sugar addiction and keep it alive, it will thrive. And when you cut back on something, what happens is you put yourself in a state of frustration. And that state of frustration means that you have you're keeping just barely alive, barely alive, barely alive, but it wants to take over again. And it's constantly knocking at your door, and you're constantly wearing with it. And you're constantly throwing it down. Never kid yourself that you can manage just one cookie. Don't use white flour, ready meals. Most sauces, be aware of any kind of ketchup, barbecue sauces, make your own, soft drinks, fruit drink, juices, all of that has to be cut out. The fewer the carbs you eat, the more stable your blood sugar and levels are going to be during the day. And what you're looking for is a smooth sailing throughout the day where your blood sugar is not going up and then down, then up, then down, the yo-yo. The cravings will be back in full force if you do not cut it out. Eat above ground vegetables. Why? Because above ground vegetables have less sugar in them. The others are tubular and they're drawing from nutrients from the ground, and they have more sugar in them. This has been shown to reduce hunger and lessen cravings. Oh my goodness. And this means walking away from sugar in all of its forms. Oh my goodness. You mean all forms? Yes. This might be something you need to do depending upon the level of your addiction. This might be something you need to do completely, or if you've already cut back, you're already got it under control, then you can have a little bit of honey, and you can have a little bit of maybe coconut sugar or date sugar. For me, myself, I baked all the time because it was my comfort. It was where it was my therapy. It's where I worked out, was in my kitchen, baking cakes and pies and cinnamon rolls was one of my favorite. I mean, we fought over my cinnamon rolls. I would grind the wheat and I would rise them twice and load them up with cinnamon and brown sugar and nuts, and oh my goodness, top them off with, okay, are y'all drooling yet? All right, so 3 and 4, don't buy the food you crave. Oh my goodness, don't do what? I don't know about you, but I got to actually do spiritual warfare before I go into public sometimes, especially if I'm hungry. And so I say, oh no, devil, you're not going to get me down aisle 3 anymore. All right, so I just cut them off at the pass, say, no, 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 don't store them in your house. I guarantee you that little voice will tell you, you've got a stash of cookies in the pantry underneath the box. You know it, you're feeling kind of low. You're feeling kind of down. Oh my goodness, that last phone call wasn't very positive, was it? Oh my goodness, look what just happened. You need that bag of cookies. You know where it's at. It's stashed in the corner of the pantry underneath the box. And it won't shut up until I get it out of the house and I shut it up. Okay, y'all know I'm telling the truth. Y'all know I'm telling the truth. All right, so don't store them in your house, your car. I remember when my brother was dating a girl, and she was always struggling with her weight, and she was always dieting, and I could never figure out if she was always dieting, how come she was gaining weight. Well, I looked in her car one day and I saw about a bajillion wrappers of candy bars. Candy in her car. Don't stash it in your car. Don't stash it in your desk. Don't stash it anywhere. This is typical of any addict, right? Okay, just in case, I'm going to stash one underneath here. I'm going to stash this over there. They will shout your name until you go to the kitchen, the purse, the locker, and eat them. And you're not going to eat some of them. You're going to eat all of them. Why? Because that's the nature of addiction. Find something that you can enjoy to replace it and lessen the cravings, like nuts and berries and whole food, fruits, spices, low carb foods. Grab some bacon. That's what I had this morning after my workout. And I'm going, okay, I didn't have my shake yet. And I was like, okay, I went to Black and Brew, met somebody, and I said, I want 2 slices of bacon, please, and a glass of tea. And that's what I ate. Exercise, go for a walk, get out of the mindset, shift your mindset, increase the protein. I can't tell you how much increasing protein will absolutely make a difference. Increasing your protein, increase your turkey, increase your chicken, but most of all, increase your red meats because there's a lot of nutrition in those red meats. If your carb sugar addiction is covering up some painful issues, talk to somebody, get a counselor, pray, dive into your word, get a support group. We're here for you. We'll talk to you. We'll embrace you. We'll love you. We'll pray for you. We will be there for you. If you have serious issues, love yourself enough to do the work that is required to resolve them. Love yourself. The whole theme tonight is you got to love yourself enough to get healthy. And love yourself enough to do the work. You deserve the help and you deserve the support. We love you. We're here to support you. You're worth more than hiding your feelings beneath a pile of dangerous Oreo cookies or whatever the choice is. You still have those issues after you've eaten. By the way, think of this mindset. You know, I need some comfort food, so I'm going to sit and eat, you know, a pint of ice cream. You're still going to have that same issue after you eat the ice cream. Now you're bloated. Now your blood sugar's gone crazy. Now your adrenals have been released. Your insulin's been released. Now you got all these other problems. Now you're having hot flashes. Now you're angry and hangry because, okay, you're on that yo-yo. You still will have issues after you eat it. So we have to resolve it. Step 5, educate yourself. So give yourself a hand that you're here tonight. Give yourself a hand about the sort of carbs you should be eating. Educate yourself about what type of foods I should be eating. Learn which ones to enjoy and which ones to avoid. There is no such thing as an essential carbohydrate or sugar. Oh my goodness, you mean they're not essential? I thought donuts were essential. I thought, oh my goodness, I thought, I remember my mother she was a nurse, and she would come home late at night because she would work the late evening shift. And we, as kids, would actually wait up for her because she would bring in those Hostess cakes. Do you remember those snow? What were they called? The puffy things. Sprinkled in red, different colors. And I was like, oh, Mama, we were drooling. We could hear her car driving up in the driveway. And we were just praying she'd stopped at the store, at the A&P store, and she'd have we'd all get a bite of it. Oh my goodness. So learn the foods that are going to cause you problems and the foods that are not going to cause you problems that you can actually enjoy. Go as low as you need to do with reducing or canceling your cravings. Go as low as you need to do with your carb count every single day. I usually tell people 100 carbs a day, but if you're going on a strict hitting it heavy, 50 carbs a day. That may be also something that you want to consider and do a private consultation with me. Step 6, give serious consideration to the keto lifestyle. Why? Because it works. It's been proven to help manage or eliminate cravings of sugar. Add intermittent fasting to the picture to further help reduce sugar cravings. Consider that your sugar addiction may be due to bad gut bacteria. Again, that's where the fermented foods come in. That's where the acidophilus comes in. The keto diet, intermittent fasting, and complete abstinence from sugar will help eliminate cravings completely. Once you conquer that demon, oh my goodness, what freedom. What freedom. And then you don't want to indulge and open up the door to it. And I'm not saying you never have it again, but I'm saying you conquer it to the level and the place that you know that you're not going to go back. Remember, just one mouthful of and you're back to square one. I don't know about you, but I cannot have just one of certain items. I can have one of some items. I know the ones that I can and the ones I can't. You need to know that too. I know the ones that I can't say no to. And you know you got a problem when you throw the cake in the trash, and in the middle of the night, the thought, you know that cake is still in the house. You know that cake is still in the house. And you get up and you go down and you indulge and you eat the cake. Oh my goodness. You know you got a problem. Remember, be kind to yourself. And don't even think about having just a mouthful or two. Be kind to yourself, okay? Be kind to yourself. This is no condemnation. We are all in this battle. We're all in this war. We're all in this fight to win it. Step 7, congratulate yourself for being here tonight. Congratulate yourself for wanting to make a change. Congratulate yourself for not saying tomorrow. Congratulate yourself. Take note on how great it is for your health and your self-dignity. Take your dignity back. Take your dignity back to be free of endless cravings. However, you are human. You're going to slip up from time to time. Give yourself grace. Don't beat yourself up. Learn from it. I love this. This is life. Learn from your mistakes. Wait a minute. Why did I fall? Oh yeah, I didn't have enough protein. I didn't have enough quality fats for the day. So it left me vulnerable. So begin to eliminate the areas that you know you are vulnerable in. And don't beat yourself up about it. Just say, I'll be better next time. I'll be prepared. If you can figure out why you ate that pack of cookies, forgive yourself and move on. The more you practice, the better you'll get at eradicating your addiction. Finally, as the extra weight and health issues fall away, the fact that you feel so much better will be all the motivation you need. Remember, we're learning how to fall in love with feeling good. Learning how to fall in love with feeling good. I love the Neolife program because it has everything to help you to curb these addictions. It's got the protein. There are ingredients in our Neolife protein shake that literally curb sugar addictions. I always say if your addiction is so bad that you would do a karate chop between you and that donut, if anyone stood in the way, you need 2 or 3 protein shakes a day for a little while, honey. Yes, you need to go down, boys, down, boys, down, boys. Until you get that under control, then you can move it back to 2 or 1 a day. But if it's moderate, let's say I don't need it, I'm not going to run to the store in the middle of the night to get it, then you need 1 protein shake a day. Glycemic, I love it because it won't spike your blood sugar. It's glycemic controlled. It's got the perfect balance ratio of fiber. It's a healthy meal replacement. Where can you go? You can't go anywhere for a organic, fully 25 essential vitamins and minerals, 5 grams of fiber, delicious protein. That's 18 grams immediately dispersed in the blood. Oh, wow. Pre-digested, won't put a load on your digestion, won't put a load on your kidneys, won't put a load on your liver. Wow. I'm going to preach it. This protein shake can make a difference. Makes a difference in children too. If you got a child, have you ever seen that video that they circulated where that lady is trying to bake a cake and the child has got his hands in the dough and she keeps trying to move the child away and the child is like demon possessed, man. And it's in that bowl and it's grabbing and putting to the mouth. Nobody else has seen that video? It's hilarious. It's hilarious. And I go, all right, that child needs deliverance. All right. So here again is it stabilizes your blood sugar, keeps your insulin levels low, prolongs energy. I get 5 hours out of this protein shake of energy. Wow, that's amazing. I can't get 5 hours out of a bowl of oatmeal. No, I can't get 5 hours out of a bowl of cereal. No, I can't get 5 hours out of a donut. No, you get about 5 minutes out of a donut. Oh my goodness, I was so addicted to donuts. This is my teenage years. I worked a job at a store And I remember that I stopped by that store and I got a donut before I went to work. That was my breakfast. Oh my goodness. I couldn't believe that I was so addicted to sugar that I would even sometimes be late for work because I had to stop and get that donut or that honey bun. Oh my goodness. Proven human clinical trials studies shown that it will not spike your blood sugar. Then you got to support your adrenals. That's your TRANN, that's those grain oils. It's actually shown in clinical studies to boost your adrenals 174%. That's amazing. So you got to balance your adrenals. They've been way out of whack with food addictions. And this is a way to do it. This is the only formula in the world from human whole food, clinically proven to boost your adrenals, balance hormones, connect, communicate those hormones, create a healthy cell with nutrition in and toxins out. Glucose balance is amazing with that amazing turmeric and curcumin and chromium and cinnamon, because it actually supports your glandular system. So I love our glucose balance, and I love the CoQ10 for energy. The CoQ10 for energy and the glucose balance for, again, adrenal support, glandular support. Oops, I think I did one. Okay, let me go back, two more. So zinc is necessary because zinc will actually help to curb sugar addictions. Minerals, magnesium, elevate, because the elevate will actually raise your dopamine levels 37%. And so will our upbeat. Those two drinks raise your dopamine levels. So if you're craving a cookie, drink an Elevate. Did you hear what I said? If you're craving some ice cream, craving a cookie, craving a bag of chips, drink some Elevate instead. Magnesium, multimin, zinc, these are all your minerals that the body needs desperately, along with calcium, magnesium, calcium, because every time you're consuming sugar, you're destroying minerals. Did you hear what I said? Every time you consume sugar, you destroy minerals. So you need your calcium, magnesium, 2-to-1 ratio with your vitamin D is absolutely provided in our CalMag D. And sometimes you need some extra support from a stress pack. I don't know about you, but sometimes I'm just under a double load of stress. And so I need some extra selenium, and I need some extra minerals, and I need some extra B vitamins, but just take a stress pack along with it. And then along with the stress pack is Super B. I talked about the Super B, has all 8 Bs from a very nutritious yeast source, and has all 8, and it also has the inositol and choline in it. And our acidophilus for good gut bacteria gets where it needs to go, delivers what needs to be delivered, takes back the territory, repopulates the good guys. Wow. Whoa. So you're actually fighting this war. Now listen to this. You're fighting this war on the gut level. You're fighting this war on the glandular level. You're fighting this war in the brain level. You're actually feeding the body what it needs to fight back and to restore from our willful ignorance days. Wow. So, again, fall in love with feeling good. Food is the fuel for a healthy life, and a healthy life is our reward. How many here want to be rewarded with a healthy, long and healthy life? Then let's fall in love with feeling good. Love yourself enough to give yourself health. Fall in love with the health you have gifted yourself. Do you know it's a gift you give yourself is health? Then share the gift with others. And that's what we do with Neolife, is we share the gift with others. Why? Because we have some of the best formulas that help support the body's systems to get it right, do it right, so we can be right. Ah, that is awesome. All right, that actually concludes the class for tonight. Is there anybody? I'm going to stop share. Is there anybody that has a question? unmute yourself or in the classroom. Anybody have a question in the classroom? Woo-hoo.
Comment, just a comment. If sugar is this addictive, and that obviously is.
Did you see where Nancy said in the chat, where do you get coconut butter?
Yes, yes, yes. Thank you. Go ahead, Charlotte.
If sugar is that addictive, I really have a heart now for people that actually get caught into tobacco and alcohol. I cannot imagine, I can't even imagine the struggle they must have.
Absolutely.
By the grace of God, that can be any person that is in that.
Yes, and Charlotte was saying she now has compassion for those who not only have sugar addictions, but tobacco addictions, because it is a struggle. It's a fight, and you've got to really come to the end of yourself, admit that you have a problem, and then seek help to turn the situation around and take different steps. Debbie?
Stress, what is a stress?
What does a stress pack have in it? Deborah, you want to let Debbie know what the stress pack has in it? I know it has a lot of selenium. I know that it has extra minerals. I know it has extra B vitamins. Lots of B's are in there. There's a couple of other things though, but Deborah will look it up. But it just has a compound extra for that extra level of stress. And you would actually stack it onto the Pro Vitality. It's intended to stack on. Yes. Yes. And Nancy asked the question where to get coconut butter. It's called healthytraditions.com. My favorite place to buy anything coconut is healthytraditions.com. I love healthytraditions.com. It's an amazing company and I love supporting them, and they have some of the best products in the market when it not only comes to coconut, but a few other things also.
This is Gail. Can you hear me?
I can.
I'll be darned. Okay. I'm pretty much in line with everything that you're talking about. I do my zinc and the bean and everything else. It's all organic. But my question to you is, when I get home from work, I like to have, can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay. When I get home from work, I like to have my little glass of wine, whether it's red or whether it's white. I have done this for so many years, it's like a habit. So, how do you feel about that?
Okay, there's a lot of sugar in wine.
Yeah, I know.
Unfortunately, the low sugar level alcohol is the hard liquor. Unfortunately. So to me, what I would do is there is a product that Neoli puts out called Tre, T-R-E, that is a liquid essence of the berries, the top 10 berries found in the world that are cancer fighting and antioxidants. And it was actually formulated to go through the blood-brain barrier in the brain to give the brain a powerful shot of wellness. It tastes delicious. And that's what I do. And I put it in my wine glass. I enjoy my Tre. And there's been several times that I win with a group of ladies that drink wine, and I'll pull out my Tre and they'll say, "What have you got?" And I go, "Well, this happens to be," and I just explain it to them. And if I serve some for them, they absolutely fall in love with it because the health benefits are magnificent. So you want to choose something with less sugar, but a massive amount of health benefits. So with wine, you have a lot of sugar and very little health benefits, because it's usually the health benefits is in the color, which is the antioxidant, the resveratrol. But the Tre has you would have to drink several glasses of wine to get the same level of resveratrol that's in the drink.
How much is in there?
We can look it up and see, it tells exactly how many glasses per each berry.
Uh-huh.
And it compares it to and it's right on the website. And I know, Gail, you and I need to connect, and
I know. It's just, I just got home and Sherry texted me. I said,
that
I
is
just got home. You
awesome.
have to take the
Thank you
dog
so
out. Then I have to
much.
feed the dog. And
Yes,
she
yes,
said, well,
yes.
just turn it on if you can't go there. So I hurried up and got to my laptop.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much I'm going to actually sign off the recording, but I'm going to stay on with everybody else. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Get
Thank
back
you.
with the person that shared this with you. God bless.
Okay, thank you.